The Breakfast Show on Faith FM with Skafy and Lindsay. It is a pleasure to spend the next 2 hours here with you as we talk about what's in the news, what's in the Bible, how they are talking to each other. We have a great show lined up ahead of us. We're going to be looking at how Beijing became one of the quietest cities in the world. We're also going to be talking about the science between the bonding of grandparents and grandchildren. And coming up, we have an interview with Lyle Southwell, who's going to be talking to us about the ins and outs of the latest hate speech laws that had just been passed on Parliament 2 weeks ago. Lindsay, are you excited? Are you looking forward for today's show?
I am. It sounds like a really good lineup. Very interesting topics coming up.
Okay, so we are calling Lyle Southwell. So he is going to be joining us very soon. Lyle, do we have you with us already? Thank you. We're just connecting Lyle.
Oh, sounds like you might be on now.
Lyle, can you hear us?
I can.
Oh, wonderful. Yes. We can hear you too.
Good
That's
morning
great.
to you, Lyle. Your voice just sounds a little bit muffled. Might be the reception over there, but or it might be on the speaker. I do not know, but we can hear you.
Okay, so long as you can hear me, I will not touch a thing, and hopefully it will continue to work.
Fantastic. I think that's good enough. So, Lyle, can you tell us a little bit, what have you been observing? Can you tell us a little bit about the story, the circumstances, and what happened with these newly promoted hate speech laws, and what was actually passed and what did not pass in the final bill? What's your 2 cents on all of that story?
So this is absolutely fascinating, and it's a little bit challenging to cover the story without editorializing. So if I editorialize, then you can take those as my opinion as we work our way through it. But essentially, what we're going to have in this little section is a hate-filled section of radio. How about that?
I'm excited.
All righty.
I'm a bit worried, Joseph, if you're excited for a hate-filled...
Oh, you said hate-filled. I thought you said a hike field. That's right. It's okay, we're going to be looking for do some hiking here. So going to ups and downs. Okay, no, if it's a hate-filled session, then I'm not super excited. Actually, I'm scared.
All right.
Okay.
So I'm going to talk about 2 things that I hate.
What do you hate?
Number 1, I hate speech.
Yeah, fair call.
Okay.
Number 2, I hate speech laws.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, tell us why. What's the problem with hate speech laws? Aren't they supposed to make everybody, speak nicely of one another?
Yeah, so we should all speak nicely of one another anyway. That's a given. That's a Christian value right there.
Yeah.
However, there are times when we need to speak stridently on certain subjects.
Sure.
And Jesus, spoke about people who were whited sepulchres. He told Peter, his best friend, that he was one of his best friends, that he was Satan. John the Baptist talked about people and called them snakes. And so, yeah, there is a time when you would use language, even though your heart is obviously doing it from a perspective of love and concern, because you're obviously trying to catch their attention and say, hey, guys, wake up. This is going to take you down a really bad path if you continue to go this direction. So there's a time when you can use that kind of language, and it needs to be used, but it would be perceived by the receiver as hate speech. Mm-hmm. So that's the first thing that I don't like about hate speech law, is that it stops you from being able to use language that might be necessary to catch a person's attention. The old illustration of somebody standing in the road and they're about to get run over by a Mack truck coming, down the road. You don't have time to stand there and say, hey, look, I need to just let you know that there is a truck coming. Get out of the road. And sometimes, as human beings, we need to be able to do that. And hate speech laws stop us from being able to do so.
Okay.
The other thing about hate speech laws is that they shut down disagreement. And this is incredibly unhealthy for a society. The reason being is that hate speech is impossible to define. So incitement is very easy to define. Incitement is where you call for a specific action. So that's easy to define. If you are calling, and we've seen recent examples of that, where people have called for, gas the Jews. Okay, you're calling for the execution of a certain race of people. And so that's a very easy mark to define. You can say, yes, they've crossed the boundary. If they say, I don't like the Jews, I hate the Jews, whatever, that kind of thing. I don't like it, but a free society allows it. I want people to be able to say hateful things about me. I don't want them to be able to incite violence or call for violence against me. Those are two different things. We need to understand the difference between the two. Mm-hmm. And so this is where hate speech shuts down free speech. The moment that you shut down free speech, and the other thing that I don't like about these laws that were proposed is that they were in a religious context. And so this is where it becomes particularly applicable to Christians and, all religions, because the healthy thing about religion is being able to disagree. You cannot test your ideas. Mm-hmm. Theology, you cannot learn from each other without being able to disagree. And a mature person, a mature human being knows how to disagree in a way that is polite and that is respectful and that is going to help each other rather than, start a war somewhere. And so we need to learn how to be mature people. You can't learn how to be a mature human being if you can never disagree with somebody. So it's a little bit like this, Joseph. If you and I are having a theological discussion here on Faith FM one morning, mm-hmm. and suddenly we disagree with each other, and we have a sharp disagreement, a strident disagreement, and you feel that you have been devalued as an individual as a result of the disagreement that we've had, then under hate speech laws, you can have me up before the courts accused of hate speech. Now, it might pass, it might not, doesn't matter, because even if it doesn't pass, you're punished much more system than you are by the actual sentence pretty much at the end of the day anyway. And so what this does is it shuts people down and it stops speech. Now, when you stop when you limit the sharing of ideas, when you limit what people can say to each other, what it does is it forces people to internalize their ideas. They don't change their minds. They just have their ideas on the inside. But they are never challenged on their ideas. And if we're never challenged on our ideas, we can never grow. So these hate speech laws, terrible, terrible laws, terrible restriction on free speech and especially on religious liberty.
Yeah, absolutely. So when the final version of, I think that was probably the most controversial part of the proposed hate speech laws that the Labour government introduced, which was this, racial. If you're causing someone to hate a certain people group and so on, but that part was taken out of the final bill that was approved, wasn't it? So does it mean that we are out of the woods, or do you mean that it's probably going to try to come back again in a different form?
These are laws that have been circling around the edges for the last 10 to 15 years, and they're going to keep coming back until they get passed through. The only reason they did not pass this time was because they targeted speech that was being made, and this is me editorializing now. They were targeting speech that was being made by Muslims rather than targeting speech that was being made by Christians. Personally, I believe that if it had been targeting the free speech of Christians, the Greens would have supported it. Mm-hmm. Now, that's just my opinion. That's just how I read the room, and I could be entirely wrong. I hope that I'm entirely wrong. I wrote to all of the Green senators and congratulated them on standing against.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, Lyle, do you still have you here? Lyle was just saying here that he wrote to the Green senators to thank them for their standing in regards to the hate speech laws. But we just lost the connection with Lyle here. I think that he's getting back. Lyle, are you back with us? So, hello, Lyle, can you hear us? We're just trying to reestablish connection with Lyle at the moment here. Producer Shao is trying to call him again, and he is going to be continuing talking to us about the outcomes of these hate speech laws. Do we have Lyle with us? So while Lyle is getting back here on the line with us, let us just kind of get a little bit of a historical record here. So these hate speech laws were first proposed as a reaction, as a response to the fatal Bondi shootings.
Yeah.
Earlier, a few weeks back, and that was some big outcry for some measures to be made. And the way that the Labour government thought to do is that they introduced a bill that would combine some restriction on gun laws, plus some restriction on hate speech, plus some restriction on certain groups that part of their core, their ethos was founded on a belief of hate. Okay, Lyle, do we have you back?
Yes, I'm back again.
All right. So you were telling us before we lost connection with you that you were writing letters to all of the Green senators and you were thanking them for the stance that they took. Is that correct?
It was because Australia missed a bullet because of the stand that they took.
Wow.
You know that legislation is pretty bad when the Greens won't side with their Labor counterparts on a particular piece of legislation. But the thing that I was encouraging them with was to make this a precedent, to make it a principle that applies not just to Muslim free speech, but applies to Christian free speech and free speech of all faiths. So freedom of religion of all faiths, which is an area in which historically they do not have a good track record. Mm. And so, once again, this is me editorializing. This is how I read the room. This is my opinion on this topic. But Australia really did skip a bullet here a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
That I did not think we were going to skip. I thought that we were going to be in all kinds of strife. And we can look at around the world, wherever free speech is repressed, it is the beginning of a repressive regime.
Yeah.
And that concerns me. It concerns me the way the free West, so to speak, is heading. You see it from both sides of politics. You see it around the world in the United States, in the UK, in so many different places where we are heading down a path that we have for so long rejected and seen as being a terrible idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for bringing up. These are definitely some matters for concern and for prayer. So, what do you encourage people to do next time similar laws of hate speech are making the rounds? How should we go about them?
Yeah, this is very good. You need to write to your local MPs and senators. And you need to sign the petitions that are going around. We were given 2 days or 1.5 days, I think it was, and by the time the petitions came out and I saw them, we had about 12 hours left to get that petition signed.
Wow.
And so these were rushed through, and so very, very few people got to make a submission or to write a letter or to sign a petition. And the purpose behind that, I believe, was to get them through without people actually realizing what was happening.
Yeah.
And so 3 avenues that you have. 1, write a letter to all of your local senators and MPs. Number 2 is to sign a petition that is being circulated, find one that's being circulated. And number 3, make a submission. Every person can do those things. Those are things that we need to do. We need to be engaged in this process when it involves religious liberty.
Absolutely. Lyle, thank you so much for bringing some updates here, for letting us having a fuller understanding about how bad these hate speech laws can actually be if they had been approved. And I want to encourage everyone to really be on the alert. And next time that similar law is being considered, that we can go and express our concerns to our representatives. Lyle, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It was a bit of a short notice for you, but we are very glad that you could bring that up to the show today.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
We are now going to give a new Bible quiz so we can play together. Producer Shell, please.
Yes, we have people who are chafing at the bit, waiting, wondering, whoa, it's been delayed. With that quiz question. We want our quiz question. We love that enthusiasm.
Yeah, 100%.
Our third quiz question. Which major prophet prophesied, with joy shall ye draw water out of the wells of salvation? Who prophesied that? With joy shall ye draw water out of the wells of salvation. It's one of the major prophets.
Can you say it again one more time?
Which major prophet prophesied, with joy shall ye draw water out of the wells of salvation? And Skafy is having an attempt. Lindsay got it wrong on her first attempt. But she got it right on her second.
It was 50-50 for me for those two. So I was like, oh, but it does sound like the one I chose second a lot more.
Good job. 0491 064 669. Text in what you think the answer is to our third quiz question. Which major prophet prophesied, with joy shall ye draw water out of the wells of salvation?
It looks like the
I'm between two people as well. But I would say that by the tone, by the words, I think he looks more like this person here.
No.
Oh, no.
Got it wrong.
That was also my first attempt. Oh, man.
Okay. Was it that person here?
It was that one.
It's one of them.
Yes. Yeah, I was in between these two as well. I was like, wells and joy. So there you go. If you do know the answer to that one, 0491 064
Skafy,
669.
It's looking like the ginger water is beating the kale.
Yes, but, to the kale's defense, it was yesterday, so it was not this one. So it might have waned off the effect a little bit.
Oh, okay.
You got the first one, so maybe it's just waned after that.
That's right.
Right after the early 6 a.m. time.
He got the first one by like 1 second quicker than me.
That's
so,
more like
and that's because
5
he's typing
seconds.
with his fingers and not like scribbling, like I do. Anyway.
All right, speaking of typing/scribbling.
Typing and scribbling.
Yes, this looks like typing would be something that grandparents would do and scribbling something that
I feel
young
like
kids
that
would
might
do.
be
Or maybe the other
inverted.
way around.
Yeah.
So what is the latest research that has come out about the importance of the bonding between grandparents and grandchildren?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to come back to a comment that we made before the show started. As Skafy and I were chatting and I was letting him know what we're going to talk about today, I think he misheard me a little bit.
Oh, all right. Maybe I did.
Yeah, because he was saying to me, what? What did I say? That
Oh, yes.
having grandparents looking after grandchildren protects against cognitive decline. And I think Skafy thought I was talking about the poor parents involved.
That's right. I thought it protects parents against cognitive decline when grandparents hang out with their grandchildren. And I would say, hey, you know what? I would believe that's science for
Hey,
sure.
that might be true as well.
I think that is actually true. We just need someone to put that on paper.
Oh, poor Skafy and his cognitive decline with his little kids.
That's right. Unfortunately, my kids' grandparents are all overseas, so they often speak to the grandmas via FaceTime, but it's not the same thing. When they are there in presence, it's like a whole completely different ball game.
I want to ask our listening friend, do you have grandchildren? And if you do, let us know. Do you like to hang out with them, or are they too far away to spend much time with? I want to hear from you guys in the chat. But today we have some new research that's come out of the Netherlands. So there is a researcher, Mrs. Tretjes, a doctoral candidate at Tilburg University in the Netherlands. Her and her colleagues examined data from nearly 3,000 English grandparents, grandmas and granddads, all older than 50, with an average age of 67. They gave them a number of surveys over a span of, it looks like, 6 years, so from 2016 to 2022. And they answered survey questions, and completed cognitive tests 3 times in those 6 years. So I'm guessing every 2 years or so they were asked these questions, given these surveys and tests. And the survey asked whether they had provided care for a grandchild at any point in the past year and how frequently. So whether they were watching grandchildren overnight, caring for them when they were sick, playing or engaging in play activities, helping them with homework, driving them to school and activities, or preparing meals. Any of these types of activities count as grandparent care for the grandchild. And what they were looking for was to see if this made any difference for the grandparents' mental health and cognition over time. So overall, the researchers found that grandparents who provided childcare, regardless of how often and what type of care they provided, they all scored higher on tests of both memory and verbal fluency compared with those who didn't, even after adjusting for age, health, and other factors. So it doesn't matter what kind of situation you're in. If you're a grandparent and you're looking after your grandchildren, you're going to be better off as far as verbal fluency and memory.
Wow.
Than if you don't engage with your child more than once a year.
Very interesting.
So, grandchild. So, this was fascinating to me, and I was having to think about it as I'd read it and reread it a couple times. I was like, oh, this is fascinating because I find all sorts of health and well-being information really interesting. And this is the dots that I'm putting together from the bits of research that I've looked at over the years. There is a term in the counseling space that goes along the lines of neurons that fire together, wire together. Now, do you know what that means, Skafy?
I have no idea. What does it mean?
No? Shell, do you have any idea? No, probably not. Okay. So neurons that fire together, wire together. Now, neurons are the brain cells inside of your head, right? And when they fire together, that refers to 2 people spending time together. So Skafy and I, we're staring at each other, we're chatting, we're having a good time. We are connecting 3 hours each morning. And as we do that, our neurons in our brains are firing together. Okay, so we're having a conversation, we're connecting. And as we do that, they are wiring together. So the more that we spend time together, the more similar we are probably going to become. We're going to think more similarly. We're going to act more similarly. We're going to pick up each other's mannerisms, those types of things, because our brain cells, there are things in our brains called mirror neurons. If I'm going to cross my arms, subconsciously, if I didn't say that, you would probably want to cross your arms because of our mirror neurons in our brain. We want to, if we're connecting well with someone, or if we're attracted to a person or something, our body language is going to behave in very similar ways. We'll follow each other's cues. And so the way I'm connecting this with this story about grandparents and grandchildren is grandchildren are sponges, right? They're learning, they're growing, they're in an active growing phase in their life. Grandparents, 50 or above, whatever, they're in a stage of their life without having grandchildren in the picture. They would be in a state of decline, the end of the years of life. You've learnt everything you think you want to learn. You've done everything you think you want to do. Now it's like just kind of...
Or you ran out of energy.
Running out of energy, kind of just slowing down.
Yeah.
But when you put the two together, you have these little children running around with just bundles of energy. I've heard recently that 3-year-old boys have the same amount of testosterone as 15-year-old boys. And so they're so just filled with energy. And grandparents who might otherwise be sitting and just slowly enjoying their last few years of life, they have to now try to keep up. They're trying to engage with this little bundle of energy. And so the mirror neurons that are firing in their brains, they're connecting with each other. It's actually benefiting the grandparent by being in connection with a small growing human being. They're both growing together. They're keeping each other alive. And it's also great for the grandchild because, they're getting love and connection from a trusted
in a very
person.
special way as well. Because the kinds of love that a grandparent can give to a child is different from the kind of love that the parents will give.
But it's also of benefit to the grandparent And when you are able to think more clearly,
And for the parents as well, as I mentioned,
the
I think
parents
that
as well, I'm sure.
the cognitive capacities of the parents when the children are spending time with a safe person such as the grandparents it's absolutely noticeable.
Yeah. Ultimately, I guess the point I want to drive home today is that God has created us for connection. Now, God has created human beings to be in his image. And we know that God is Father, Son, Holy Spirit. It's a divine trinity that has existed for, eons past before creation. And so God has always been this unity, this trinity, this community together of love together forever. And so when God created humans, he created us in his image of communal love. And so we are not created to be isolated and far away from each other. We all discovered that in the last 5-6 years during lockdown, that it's actually not good for us to be isolated. But we are created to be in community, and that can be with husband and wife, that can be with children, that can be with grandparents, grandchildren, that can be with friends, family, church, whatever it might look like. God has created us to be in loving community.
What a blessing. And sometimes I think, a grandparent might think, I'm busy, I have to do something, or that I'm doing this for the benefit of my children or my grandchildren. But I think that God blesses us when we are there to bless others. And when grandparents are spending time and blessing their children, they receive this incredible blessing from God, which is a stronger cognitive health.
Mm-hmm.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
Very good. Lindsay, I want to talk to you about how Beijing ended up becoming one of the quietest cities in the world. So people that are living in Beijing are reporting that even when they are standing at the side of a major highway, we're talking about like 9-10 lanes and hundreds, if not thousands of cars driving past at every moment, you can still actually hear the birds singing around you.
How?
You can hold a comfortable conversation with people, and a lot of people were really, really surprised by that.
Are these cars levitating? Like, what's going on?
So we're going to get into the car part of it.
Okay.
But this is something actually quite new because Beijing, or China in general as a country, they have been on waging this battle against pollution in general.
Okay, good.
But in particular, noise pollution, particularly for the last 5 to 6 years.
Really? Okay.
Yes. And they have really taken that very seriously. They have taken this as one of their main government priorities for the current quinquennium. So this period of 5 years in their programming as a country. A lot of cities got on like big cities, Guangzhou and Beijing, took those metrics on board. And now people, particularly foreigners that are going to Beijing, they are really shocked because normally when we think about Asia, we think about beep, 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 people like, honking all over the place and lots of noises and tuk-tuks and motorbikes and cars. But that's not the case anymore, particularly with some of the Chinese largest bustling cities.
Interesting.
And there's a number of things that have happened, but the number one contributor to the new environment where you can, people that there's one lady online and she says that she has a very light sleep and she always used to wear earbuds or these earplugs to go to bed at night. And then when she went to visit on Beijing, she said like she never slept so well in her life because you don't hear not even the occasional car passing by anymore.
Maybe I should visit Beijing because I'm a very light sleeper.
You're a very light sleeper?
We're not even that close to the highway here, and where I'm sleeping, like I can hear the highway really easily at night. I'm waking up 5 times a night and tossing and turning. Like maybe I should go to Beijing too.
Yeah, well, what they've done, among other things, is Beijing has been, China in general, they have been investing a lot in renewable energy. So they are the leaders worldwide in terms of solar power and batteries and wind and
So they're
sun.
levitating solar powered
They're not
cars.
levitated,
Oh,
but
sorry.
there had been a lot of incentives
Okay.
for electric vehicles.
Okay.
Now, electric vehicles are very quiet. Actually, so quiet that it's good. That one of the things that these electric vehicles have is that they have some really advanced pedestrian detection technology so that they can stop, because it's very easy for people to get run by one.
Sure.
Just because they don't do any noise. That people are not sometimes used to it. They're used to hearing something and acting. Actually, some electric vehicles, when they are driving at low speeds, they actually have sound boxes outside of the car so that they make a noise and people can know that there is a car around.
Just so, wow, they have to make artificial noise.
They have to make artificial noise.
That's
Otherwise, they would be
crazy.
absolutely quiet.
You just flatten someone by accident.
So in the Chinese economy, EVs had really become a big thing, and most people voluntarily, of course, there were some government incentives, but most people were just like ditching their petrol cars and switching up for electric vehicles. And the electric vehicles, they do two things, particularly in massive, busy cities. They contribute to the air quality. So Beijing used to have very poor air quality. Now, on most days, the air quality is excellent, and in some days, it's only good.
Oh, okay.
But the majority of time now, it's excellent because of the reduction of the fumes and the gases that normal petrol vehicles issue because of their burning. And also, the other side effect is there's no noises in the street anymore. The only noise you can hear is the noise of the tires rolling on the surface. But even these noises
That's pretty
are
low.
Are very low, because these electric cars, they developed special technologies, and they had noise absorbent tires and wheels.
Wow, of course.
And the Chinese government has invested millions of dollars in soundproofing and having they have this called these noise reducing road surfaces as well.
Man, you know what? I reckon putting all the pieces together, if these people have no traffic noise with all the highways and they're getting good sleep at night, these are the people we have to watch out for. These are going to overrun the rest of the world because they're getting such good sleep. They're going to come and
they're definitely
flatten
getting
the rest of
they're
the
definitely
West.
getting I had a similar experience. I went to Tokyo and I was impressed on how
Superhumans.
and yes, absolutely, how quiet Tokyo was.
Yeah.
But in Tokyo, not only you don't hear people honking, you barely hear noises. I think that a lot of cars as well are very low in noise, even though they don't have so much electric vehicles as they have in China. But also because in Tokyo, even though we're talking about a 40+ million people city, the vast majority of people, they use subways and trains to go around. So there's very little traffic compared to the number of people there. Now, there are still some noise going on, but even that noise is being looked after, particularly social, what they call social noise. So like, some people, complain of music, having music and conversations and shouting. But as far as noises coming from traffic is concerned, they have experienced a significant reduction, which is allowing people to walk on the streets and you can actually hear the birds sing.
That's so good.
And you can hear the thoughts of your own head, and you can hold a conversation with people.
That's so good.
But what interested me in that story is how they came about that. Why would that become a priority? Because when you think of China, you're thinking about you need noise because they're growing economically.
Yeah.
And China has been blamed by a lot of countries as being one of the greatest polluters of the planet, and because of their industrial development.
Yeah.
And while they're definitely doing something about it, what really caught my attention here as a Christian is the reason why, and the reason why was complaints.
Okay.
So last year alone,
So complaining actually does get things done.
complaining does get things done, and I'll show you that the Bible actually says that, but complaining the right way.
Okay. All right.
Because last year alone,
Through the
China
official
received over 6 million complaints from its citizens about noise pollution related of causes.
Wow.
So you would think that the Chinese having a fairly restrictive government and very centrally organized they would not really care for what their people have to say. But apparently they do care. And they say, look, you know what, this actually is going to become a political issue. We cannot allow this to become a political issue and let a lot of people be impatient and have lack of sleep, and they realize, hey, this is actually going to become an issue for the Communist Party.
Devolve into chaos.
So
otherwise.
let's tackle it, and let's tackle it correctly. And in 6 years, they basically reduced the amount of noise in half.
That's a council that actually gets something
Yes.
done.
Across multiple cities.
Good job, guys.
So this is what the Bible says in Proverbs chapter 25 and the verse 15 says, with patience a ruler may be persuaded, and a soft tongue can break bones. So the Bible says, hey, you know what? Rulers, they can be persuaded. And we're writing about the Bible here. We're talking about, when the Bible talks about rulers, it's thinking of quite oppressive regimes that more often than not. And normally you have even the figure of a king, of this absolute authority. But the Bible says that, hey, even these people that don't necessarily have to respond to anyone, they can be persuaded. But this is the key, with patience, so with a soft tongue, softly. Because there's two kinds of complaints. There's the nagging kind of complaint, and there's the complaint that says, hey, look, I'm actually going to complain, but you do so very softly, very patiently, very kindly. And the Bible says that is the kind of complaint that works. That is the kind of complaint that changes the world. I actually love, because this tie up with what Lyle Southwell was talking to us earlier before.
Yep.
He mentioned about how the importance for Christians to write to their representatives, to the senators, to their MPs, both at the Senate and federal level, depending on where the situation is going, write to them, because with patience, meaning perseverance, patience also means that you're being active and recurring. You're not just saying one thing and just letting it go, but with perseverance and forbearance, a ruler might be persuaded. So participating and trying to persuade rulers is a civic duty from a Bible perspective. And the Bible says, hey, you know what? You think that sometimes your opinion won't make a difference? It will. It can persuade leaders, and a soft tongue can break bones. So if it's a soft tongue, if you're perseverant but kind at the same time, a lot of things can get done. And the example that we see is in Beijing, which is now one of the most quiet cities in the world. People are keeping their earbuds, their earplugs in the drawer because they don't need them anymore.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay, so now is it time for a quiz answer?
Let's give a quiz answer. So, Producer Shell, please, what is it that you would like to give to us?
You guys did very well, I have to say, because I wouldn't have gotten this one at all. So, second try for both of you is very, very good. Which major prophet prophesied, with joy shall ye draw water out of the wells of salvation? And that was Isaiah, and you can find that in chapter 12 and verse 3.
Okay, I thought it was Jeremiah first.
Yeah, same. Well, I was just like, it's one of those two, and I went with Jeremiah first. But you know what? This one just sounds so much more like Isaiah. It's the kind of thing Isaiah would say.
It was the kind of thing that I thought that it was the kind of thing that Jeremiah would say.
I only thought of Jeremiah because I think he was thrown in a well.
Yeah, I thought
He
about
was.
that too. So maybe he was using that as an illustration. But yeah, now that you've said it, it's totally Isaiah.
Yeah.
It was definitely not Daniel, and it was probably not Ezekiel.
Isaiah has so much to say about the Messiah to come. He talks a lot about salvation.
Yes, he does.
This is just so on theme for him.
Very much so.
Thanks for being a part of the Faith FM family. Join our community on Facebook or get in touch at 1-800-FAITH-FM.